Okay.
Yeah, that's working. Okay, thanks. Sorry, Kim.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone for our last online sessions, which go by very fast, I have to say. and, and I would like to express my sincere appreciation for our trainer and also all the participants for your active, engagement, discussions. And so far, personally, I really enjoy it, and I also learn a lot from our trainer, and also different perspective from other participants who come from different background, and share the experience and idea that I have not thought before. And this is for me eye-opening and new experience for me as well, because I used to join the training that only involve people in the same field, but not like so dynamic and different people from different field like this. So it's very good, at least for me personally, and I hope it is the same for everyone. So for this session, this last session, we will focus on research, academic writing, research report, and tips and tricks. I always love this session, practical tip and tricks, because this is what I do with my student as well, and this is what I find that they usually are interested, because we go beyond the theory, and by sharing our trainer and people with a lot of experience with regard to addressing practical tip, practical applications in research. So I look forward to that, and I cannot wait to see everyone in person, in the last week of August. Yeah, please enjoy your last session online, and we will have more work to do more, in person. Okay, Dr. DB and Kira, you can start. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kim-san. Yeah, we are also very keenly looking forward to the in-person session. So for today's session, actually, Kirill had prepared something very interesting exercise, which we wanted to do last week, but time was not on our side. It's always like that, in 2 hours, I feel sometimes not enough. So would that be okay, Kirill, if you start with your very short, presentations from last week's sessions, and then after that, I will do another presentation on academic writing, but the focus on my presentation will be mostly on proposal writing, but together with that, we can also discuss the academic aspects of proposal writing. So how to present your proposals, your ideas academically. Okay, so over to you, Kirill.
And actually,
Okay.
you kind of actually
Thanks,
do
DB.
what
Sorry,
your
somebody
purpose in
press
looking at the
mute
literature to identify
here.
where,
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I can hear another lecture going on. 2 lectures at once. Great. Thank you, everyone. So this is a quick practical exercise that, in fact, will lead into some of the discussion that we will be having in country in Cambodia about cultural specificity. So last week we talked about ethical research, means and ways of doing ethical research, some of the tips and tricks of ethical research. We looked at some of the complications. Nicole talked on some of her considerations. DB also looked at specific considerations with AI. And in preparation for last week, I went looking over reports and guides to teach us how to do ethical research. I was curious to know, like, how much is out there for us, like, that we can access. Like, if we just Googled in how to do ethical research, how much is there for us just through a general search? And in fact, I found hundreds of guides. There's not just 10, 20, there's lots and lots of guides to try to teach us how to do ethical research. But they're all kind of slightly different. On the one hand, universities have very long, extensive kind of guidebooks, which we're familiar with in the tertiary sector. They're really, really quite dense. On the other hand, you've got civil society organizations giving you tick lists about things you should do that aren't quite as long. You then also get media organizations having suggestions, and a whole range of people, multinational, like UNESCO, give a number of different guides as to how to do ethical research. So I thought, oh, that was very interesting. But then what they also say within that is they talk about how to be culturally specific. I mean, what are some of the things you need to consider when working within a particular country, geographic group, cultural group? So, for example, in Australia, it may be that you need to approach a particular group in a particular way, Indigenous, non-Indigenous, particular migrant groups with a particular traumatic past compared to others. So all these sort of things you have to have sort of a specificity to them. So the exercise today, and this then leads us into what we're going to be doing in countries, to think about some of the things we need to consider when working in Cambodia, the research you need, how to do ethical research within Cambodia. And I'm going to draw on a guide that's sort of another one of these generic guides that gives us a few pointers as to some of the things we need to consider. What I did find throughout all these guides is that they're never very specific, in so much as they don't delve into examples very often, and they certainly don't talk on a particular in-country experience. They're all kind of generic. So they say, for example, if you read the reading that I sent, you have to consider language, you have to consider history, you have to consider cultural nuance. But then they don't talk exactly on what some of these cultural nuances are, what language says to us within a particular context, what the history means and how we encounter that, our history being different to Cambodian history, and so on and so forth. So this exercise is just to get us to think about, well, what do we need to consider when doing research in Cambodia as compared to elsewhere, maybe? So I'll bring up some slides. Sorry, let me just share my screen first. I can see it. I'm going to DB, and Kim Stan, you can see that good. The objectives of this short exercise are the two things: to consider inclusive research practice, and I'll talk on that in a second. What does it mean to be inclusive? And to consider Cambodian specificities, and then also to think about ethical difficulties that you may encounter, and then ways to overcome that. And this is going to be something we'll work through in the 3 days when we get to Cambodia itself. So this is the report. The report's called Culturally Sensitive Research Design and Appreciation of Context. Published online, you can find it anywhere, published by a civil society organization. And these are some of the things that they've highlighted, some of the things that you need to consider when considering inclusive research practice, or what they call as participatory action research, PAR, some of the things. So they say, well, you have to involve the participants of the study, those in country, for example. How do you involve them? And you have to involve them in the framing of the research and in the research questions. So there's something participatory in that. They say you also should offer specific skills to those who are participating and other forms of support in return for the participation. How does that work in a Cambodian context? Within the health sector, within governance, within pedagogy? I mean, are there some sort of hurdles there where you can't actually offer training? Like, I don't know, there could be, within each sort of sector, there could be specific hurdles as well. They also say how then you need to have a well-designed process to then communicate these to participants. So what does that mean in a Cambodian context? Or in a context, as, you know, for example, what are the education levels in rural Cambodia compared to in a city? And if you're researching rural Cambodia, what are some of the considerations around how you communicate then your findings to those participants? They also say that you should have ongoing involvement of participants. So it's not just a one-off. How then do you then actively engage with participants on an ongoing basis to show that the research has an ongoing effect? So this is something else to consider. They also suggest that you have community and participant control over the process itself. And this is what Nicole was talking about last week. The community needs to be involved in those processes. And the last point they make is that involvement of local co-researchers. Who do you get from Cambodia, whether within which sector that can help as co-researchers? And in so doing, you support local research capacity, which builds then up within communities, but within Cambodia, some great skills, research skills and elsewhere. So you get people who have no training, they get a little bit of training, and that can then be a foothold to other sort of pathways, to other educational pathways or sort of interest pathways. So these are all well and good. So in theory, these guys say, this is what you should do. But in practice, maybe they're not so easy to implement. So I was going to group you. So I was thinking, I read back through your research questions. I know there's an interest in climate change. There's an interest in teaching and pedagogy. There's an interest in reforming public and private sector within Cambodia. Some of you are agronomists and how agriculture works in relation maybe to climate change. There's something there on politics, not only within Cambodia, but within ASEAN and with the region, and also the health sector. So what, and this is where I was going to get Mwani to help me. And Mwani's not here. So I'm going to go rogue. So the quest is this: given that they've got these sort of ideas of what you should do when it comes to research and how you should involve a particular culture or society, and we've got these groups, I want you to take two of these questions in a group, as a group, and consider them. So for example, in the Cambodian context, what are some of the hurdles you're going to encounter involving participants in Cambodia? What are some of the things that you need to consider in the Cambodian context? And it could be different within each of those sectors, as I said. Also, what skills are you going to offer? I mean, in terms of, not everyone's going to want tertiary education. Not everyone's going to understand, like, maybe the literacy skills. What skills and training are you going to offer? And how do you sort of encounter that in Cambodia? I don't want to answer all these, just two of them. How will you communicate your findings to participants in Cambodia? How are you going to encourage ongoing participation in Cambodia? How will you involve communities within the Cambodian context? And again, how do you involve local researchers from Cambodia? Now, these are very big and broad questions, and I'll put them up in the chat box, and then we'll come back. They're just a way of us getting to think about, not only you guys to think about this specificity, but for DB and myself to also consider some of the hurdles and some of the things we'll come across when we get to Cambodia and start suggesting how you do your research. Because we'll say, you should do this, you should do that. And you'll say, but we can't do that, or we haven't got access to that, or here's a complication we've come across. So we can try and think through some of these complications. So let me get out of that. Let me post these questions up in the chat box. Let me stop share this. Just typing them up here. Let me break you into groups, and it's just a generic, maybe 5 dot points, generic conversation, just introductory conversation, for you to get back to us to tell us, no, this is some of the things we're going to encounter. I won't split you up into those groups, into the health, because I think it's too difficult at this point. I'll split you into 3 or 4 groups, generic groups, but you can think about what that means within your own. Hang on, let me just mute. There we go. Good. Are there any questions about the exercise? I'll come around to each group in a second, though. So you're going to take a couple of these and just talk on some of the complications associated with research in Cambodia. Good. Okay, so let me do a breakout room. I'm going to do through how many people?
22. Oh, no, actually 21, excluding you, me, and Kim-san.
Okay, well, 3, do you think, DB? 3 breakout rooms? Or
yeah,
4?
Or maybe 4, 3.
4, yeah.
4,
do
7.
4.
4 would be ideally good, yeah.
Okay, I'll just automatically assign you to a room. And then, of course, you can, speak in Khmer in the room itself. I'll just go around to make sure we understand the task.
I think this will gonna include Kim-san as well, because it's only otherwise includes you and me. That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise, we can actually do it manually. I can help you with that.
Shall I assign manually, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can help you with that if that's okay. I mean,
Yep. Okay.
sure, let's
Assign
have
manually.
we want to make like 4 groups, right?
I've got them there. 4 groups
Yeah,
are there.
Yeah, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Group 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Group 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I include Kim-san already? No. Oh yeah, I have to actually, no, that's like, I don't know how to do that. Sorry. I accidentally, oh, what's that? Okay. Hang on. Or recreate. Sorry. Room 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Room 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 2, 3,
We need Moani.
5. Yeah. Fine. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And
Is it working, DB?
yeah, it is. Okay, there's one person more in this group, but I think
Okay.
that's fine. Right.
Okay.
Open
Let's
all
go.
rooms.
Let's do it. Yeah. We'll see you soon, and I'll jump in to each room. Great.
Okay. Did I include everyone?
Let's see if anyone's left out.
Yeah, there are 2 rooms with 5 people, one room 6 people, the other room is 7 people. So that's why I think that's better than, yeah. Okay.
Okay, just a couple here.
Ah, what happened? More people? Do you need another room?
No, I think we just got a couple of still to join.
Or are they?
Go.
Mm-hmm.
Which room should I
Oh.
go?
No, guest. Oh, hang on. I didn't know. Oh, sorry, there are 3 more people. Oh, the number didn't work, right? I don't know. Oh, maybe.
No, I think I just got to move this. We've just got to move them to room 2.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? How
How
do we
do we
get them
do
to
it?
join?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And
No.
Kim-san, how do you force them to join a room? Move to.
Not yet.
Put it in a way there. I don't know. They're in the waiting room. Oh,
Yeah, okay, I'll just go room to room.
hang on. Maybe we can
Yep,
create
yep.
one more room.
Mhm.
It's tricky,
I'll just
huh?
join room 1 and just give an idea.
And then invite people. Hmm. Interesting. How do you do that? There should be an option, right? Yeah. Maybe we'll have a Moran and cave. There are two people.
Yeah, Jerome and Marong.
Yeah. I don't know. Put it in a waiting room. Okay, I'm putting them in a waiting room. I put that. Put in a waiting room. Admit. What happened? So now they are joining. I don't know which group they are joining.
Okay, I'm just going
I
to.
think they have joined the group. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I think everyone is in.
Okay, yeah. Only 3 of us left.
Yeah.
Okay, there I go. So when do we plan to have a meeting next week? Do you know?
I will let you know Monday morning because I will
Okay.
check. I will check with Nicole and also Kirill's availability.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, by Monday I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and ideally, I mean, it would be good to have this survey report back before we do the meeting, but otherwise, if it's not completed yet by then that should be fine, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can reflect on how we did, and then we can after that think of a more structured sort of plan for in-person training. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened? There's another guest. Is this the new?
Yeah, Sniper. She
Okay,
may
let me
just
just
join.
put her in
Yeah.
the waiting
The group.
room and then admit. So yeah, I sent you a message directly to you.
Yeah.
I'll have to leave like about 15 minutes before you know, at around 2:45 my time. So about 15
Bye.
minutes. So Kirill will wrap up.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Kirill will wrap up for the training side, and then I leave this to you to wrap up the whole thing.
Yeah, no worry.
Would that be okay? Yeah. I think
Yeah,
there are two more people just joined. So what happened?
We've lost some people.
Well, 2 of them.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to go to room 3. I'll be back in a second. Yeah. Sorry, DB.
Oh, there are 3 unassigned. Okay, hang on. Assigned to 1. Assigned to 2. Okay. Assigned to 2. Assigned to 1. Yeah. So waiting room. Looks like everyone is now in the group, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry, I will wrap up. Mainly address what we plan. Because what they want, as I mentioned in the is the project template and the ethical application template. They want us to go through the ethical form. Yeah. I used to apply ethical clearance at University of Sydney. I failed because I didn't get the confirmation letter approval, from the institution in Cambodia.
Okay.
As I didn't have the budget to travel and secure the agreement or the consent form from the people that I plan to interview here. So I just need to change my focus, and I was not sad at all, but
actually I'm happy that I go through this process so that I can, you know, have some kind of experience in applying it. It's
Definitely.
not easy. I say coherent
Yeah,
applications.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's in Australian universities, I think the clearance process is pretty intensive. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I have colleagues, I have my collaborators in universities in Singapore and even in European countries where they do have a robust process in place. But here in Australia, we have national guidelines for human research and health-related research on animals. And every university is sort of trying to align their processes to that national guideline. And as a result
Yeah.
of that, we have a very, very robust and intensive, very comprehensive process in place. That's what it is. Yeah.
For us here, yeah, maybe health sector they have, but I'm not sure how effective they are because everyone see it as a financial burden, institutional burden. You know, if we go through the process properly, yeah, it's, you know, we really need to have like a research as a committee, and people here don't see it as basically we don't have the resource, you know, to do it. Yeah.
I know this is definitely a resource question, and
Yeah.
also I think building that capacity, it takes time. You know, it really does take time, both in terms of human capacity and also people's, you know, the researchers and research institutions' commitment to implement these things. Resource is definitely one thing, but you know, these are the things where you need like researchers.
Yeah.
Very good commitment to it, right? Yeah. So, you know.
Have you booked a flight already?
Oh yeah, we
You
did.
you come together or
You mean,
separately?
sorry, you mean the flight to
Yeah, to Cambodia.
Yeah, we did. I actually already sent my itinerary to Michael and his team, just to let them know. So yeah, we'll arrive.
Yeah.
I think all of us, like three of us, will arrive on Thursday around midday, and then we have just half a day, and we'll start from yeah, and then we'll start from Friday. So yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry, everyone seems to know what to do. So just till 1:40, and then we'll do like 5 minutes. Is that all right, DB? Of just
Wrap it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and then
over to you.
I'll take another 1 hour. Yeah.
Okay, is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure. I mean, this is very, very important. I mean, Kim San and I was talking about, we were talking about, you know, Cambodian government authorities are trying to, you know, implement this ethical process for health research, but still there is a lot of pushback from institutions, and also there are like, you know, resource related issues. So this is, I think, if you are doing research in the global south or in countries where, you know, there is no sort of national guideline or clear guidelines, I think this is really very, very important. And absolutely one of the focus of you know, the program, the way in my view Australia or designed this or has the expectations about is to make it more inclusive, you know, so to bring this inclusion lens to the research. And I think what we did in the last two seminars, I think, sorry, last two sessions, my sessions, even Nicole's sessions and yours, I think that very directly addresses to that concern and that expectation.
Yeah.
So research.
I mean, it's going to be very inclusive when we get in country.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to, yeah. But you're right, DB. I think so as well. Kim-san, when it comes to in country,
Yeah.
we're doing a 9 to what's it? Is it 9 to 4 or 9 to 5? What's generally the scheduling like?
From our original run sheet, it should be 9 to 4:30 or something like that. But
Mhm.
I will draft the run sheet and we can
Mm.
discuss that. Yeah, because Michael, he wanted, he wanted more time actually.
Mm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I will draft the run sheet so that we can discuss. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Kim-san. Hey,
Hi,
Moani.
Yeah,
Moni.
Sorry,
Oh,
Hi,
I'm
Moni.
No, that's good. I'm glad you were able to join it. How did it go?
yes, yeah, it was pretty good turnout. That's about
Mm.
like 150 people,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and they are going to another place now, and in front of Chinese embassy, and so
Oh,
in Canberra, like the embassy ward is quite close, right? So
yeah,
the
they are.
one, yeah, and then
Mm.
I just left, and they are having a lunch break, and they're gonna
Mm.
start in front of Chinese embassy around 2.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, good.
Is it cold?
It's okay. It's very sunny today, so
Oh,
it's not very cold.
lucky. Yeah. Yeah. I think it
So we're
was
just doing an exercise. Oh, sorry, what? We're just
No,
we've
no,
got about
go ahead
2
now.
minutes or 3 minutes to 1:40 or 10:40. Yeah.
I think there's a button where we can give them like heads up, right? Can we?
Yes, stop breaking room, and then it's gonna give them 1 minute.
Oh, right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Right. You are the expert, right? Yeah.
Okay, Moani, how do you do that? Yeah, okay. Yeah, just maybe
So
1 or 2 minutes or 1
is
minute.
that like close all rooms? Is that what we should hit that button, Moani?
Oh, yes, yeah, close all rooms. Yeah,
Little
Yeah.
rooms in 60 seconds, right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me just give it a, yeah. Well, that's enough time.
Yeah.
Okay. Give them 60 seconds to come back into the room.
Mm.
Okay, thanks everyone. I think that's, let me just check. Is that everyone? I think so, yeah. 27.
Seven,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, great. So there was some great discussions within those breakout rooms already. So thank you very much. Would anybody like to start? We had some great, I mean, not to dob anyone in, but I know who was, sorry, let me just go through all the people that, so many of you were talking just then. Mengli, you were talking about some of the difficulties associated with being academic and working outside, some of the considerations of doing research in the Cambodian academic context. Do you want to start with you and then we open it up?
Okay, thank you, Clarice. So actually, we have discussed briefly about my opinion as well as the opinion of our other members, and we come up with a conclusion that I think in our context, like we face probably layers of problems when we really try to like clarify our research objective, like there might be some procedure process we have to go through depending on the nature of the topic. One of us raised that if you want to like conduct a study about gender or something, like you have to go through some paper procedure by any like state institution that is concerned, and then the process can be lengthy and sometimes like can be lost in the process, and it's not even sure that some people that get involved in this earlier process, they are fully aware of it, and sometimes there can be a disconnect from one institution to another, and eventually we end up feeling like we being played like a tennis ball, being hit here and there, and really having no idea where to go. And this is not to mention like the ongoing process when you have to go around and gather data. Like you also have to make sure that the participant, they really willing to like engage with you, they know what you are doing, and we have to clarify with them. And at the same time, it's like although like mostly we value like intellectual capacity, innovation, but somehow our commitment to do with it. I'm not saying this is my opinion. There has been a research before when they try to like see people conceptualization of what is mean in research, especially in my field education. Like they did an interview with a few participants. They are even PhD or master holder. They say like, okay, we value research, but somehow when it comes to really doing research or participating in research, they surely have other commitment to go to. And this is not to blame anyone, but I believe like, of course, like in this context, especially from my context, like you only got paid when you teach. If you don't teach, you do something else, mostly you don't get paid for it. Like and if you have to do research, mostly it has to come out of your like teaching time or anything. This means extra commitment, and somehow we really have other priority here. Like some of us, like they have family, they need to earn enough income to survive, and this can be challenging, and this is the overall landscape. And then we also mentioned a little bit like after you gather the data, you clear all the procedure. What about publication? It's not always like the platform that really support our publication is not always consistent. Like even from my experience, I used to work with several journals, and somehow like what the reviewer say and what the editor say is not the same. Like you got the comment from the reviewer, they ask you to do this, do that. You make adjustment based on that, and suddenly it goes to the editor. They just say the completely new thing. And once again, you go through the process of being played like a tennis. So like you don't know where to go. In other words, like, yeah, I hope this gives a bit of cultural consideration and overall landscape. Maybe just from my experience, and I believe maybe others have even more positive experience. I hope to hear that.
Thanks, Meng Lee. Thank you. That must be really frustrating, especially when you have to fill in forms and it goes between different departments and different administration, and no one's quite sure. Thanks, Meng Lee. Interesting. And we'll talk more on this again in country. Somebody else? Any other volunteers from other groups? Group number 2? Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. I just like to share what we discussed from our group. So we discussed around some of the challenges when involving participants in research. So two challenges came out. One around creating safe space and build trust when involved participants in research. And for that, especially in Cambodia, historical, cultural, and even political consideration is matter. Because in Cambodia, we kind of like train or shape in a way that we need to be careful when we say things. And especially when it comes to sector specific. So when we say things, whether this feedback or idea will create harm to ourselves or to our community later, and especially who we are talking to. So that's very important. So to get like honest feedback from participants we involve, first we need to create a safe space and build trust among them so that we can get kind of honest feedback for the research.
Yeah.
And secondly, we talk about incentive in Cambodia, whether it is public sector, development sector, or private sector. So we discuss about in the private sector, for example, if you want to conduct a particular research on a particular product, some company, they kind of come up with incentive in order to encourage participation. And we discuss whether this kind of incentive will create bias in findings or whatever. And also even in the development sector, if we want to conduct a focus group discussion, we need to provide some sort of incentive, whether kind of like cover for their transport, cover for their meals, or some sort of allowance because they are, you know, away from their family to spend time. So we discuss around like it depends on the topic. This kind of incentive might create or might not create bias.
Yep. Right. Really,
Yeah.
great. Two great considerations, especially the first one. That must be difficult, you know, given there might be repercussions to friends, family, to yourselves as researchers within the Cambodian context. And I'm sure that all of you have encountered that to a degree. So thank you for putting that forward. Yeah. And DB, you did something with your, what was that you did? How did you do that? I can't get my screen to do that because that, yeah. Great. Thanks, Nim. Thank you. Is it Nim?
Yes, this is Nim. Thank you.
Nim, yeah, I thought so. Thank you. Great. Thank you. And I think we'll talk more, again, I'll use this word specificity. We'll talk more on this in country. I'm pretty sure when we're there. Okay, another group. Spokesperson for another group.
Good morning. I'm from group 3.
Morning, morning.
Okay. So while we have selected 2 questions on the skill and training that we could offer, we were only able to answer the 3rd question on how we can communicate our finding to participants, especially within the Cambodian context. So I'm gonna give my opinion on the 2nd question as well, but just a bit. So for the 3rd question on how we can communicate our finding to participants in Cambodian context, our group has raised up the importance of organizing consolidation workshop with participants as well as dissemination workshop, not just to target group, but also to the general public as well. So it is quite a standard procedure for any research to have a sort of validation workshop and dissemination workshop with consolidation workshop, allowing us to present to participants with the key findings and check whether they agree with our interpretation of findings and allowing them to like include or clarify further points to our key finding that can, and in Cambodian context, it can further adjust our research so that it can fit better to the understanding of Cambodian participants within the workshops to allow to adjust how the finding can like address how Cambodia understand the finding. And then for dissemination workshop, it doesn't dissemination workshops don't need to just be targeted to the targeted audience like the government or development partners, but it can also be addressed to the general publics. With for target group, we can have a sort of direct or clear communication, perhaps in Khmer, and for the publics, we can have a sort of simplified or any adjusted engaging materials, because the public in Cambodia may not be aware of the importance of research, or that they might not understand research in itself, and we need to find a way to adapt how we can communicate those findings so that it is digestible for the general public Cambodia. And a little bit on the 2nd question on what skill and training that can be offered to the participant in Cambodia and the cultural consideration. From my own experience in research, there should be some offer in relation to digital literacy. So digital literacy in Cambodia is quite big, like a lot of Cambodians do have smartphones, but it doesn't mean that digital literacy is up to a point that they can contribute to a sort of like online survey or understanding on online research, or even the general skill related to digital literacy in itself. And in terms of like Cambodian context, cultural consideration, one thing that I notice a lot is that I need to be very mindful of quote unquote hierarchy and like the different social registry. So in Cambodian, in the Khmer language, not Cambodian language, sorry, in the Khmer language, we have a thing called social register, in which a certain words can be different depending on who we talk to. So for monks, we may use different words. For our elderly, we may use different sort of words. For the officers in the government, we may use different sort of phrasing and words, and we need to be very mindful on how we can use those social registers properly so that we can avoid sort of embarrassment or offenses, and that we can allow for a proper both direct and indirect communications. And also we have to be more sensitive when it comes to like rural and urban areas participants. They may have different sort of communications between them, and we need to be mindful of dialects as well and such. And these are from my own experience. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry, is it Say Huck?
Say hi.
Say Huck. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's a lot in that. Yeah, especially that difference between the rural and the metropolitan. There's something to be said about that. So there's a lot in there for us to unpack as well. Thanks, Say Huck. And I've taken a few notes, just mentally taking a few notes as we're going along, just for things to further consider. And that's one of the things we will bring up. I mean, how do you then transplant your research to the rural? It's really interesting. Thank you. And the last group, I think we have one more group. I think we had 4 breakout rooms.
Yes. So I will take it upon myself to represent group 4.
Great, thank you. Is it Vati?
Yes, Vati. Yeah.
Vati, thank you.
Yeah. So we were discussing question number 1, like the hurdles of involving participants. One of the things that we were discussing and mentioning was the cultural aspect in relation to gender roles and gender power dynamic. Like for instance, like if you want to involve the participant, you need to understand the gender role in the context. Like if you involve women in interview or in training or in any meeting, you need to understand that like this specifically, according to my experience, it happened in the community. When you want to have a meeting, the meeting should not exceed so much to the lunchtime, like 10:30 or 11, and the interview should not be conducted during that time, because you understand that women normally need to go back home and prepare foods, get things ready. This is not to say that it's the right things to do for women to get stuck in that role, but you need to be well aware of this gender norm, so that you would not do any harm to women, because there are also cases that it can actually trigger GBV because of that. So you need to actually be sensitive enough so that women can go home on time, doing the work that they are traditionally assigned to do. And the other example that we think about is like if you get women to come to the meeting, normally because of their gender role, small kids, small children, they would bring the small children with them. So you can actually set aside like a PlayStation, child-friendly PlayStation with hourly paid child caregivers, so that you can have women to come and you can make sure that the children are safe and they would not disrupt the meetings or any discussion. So this is something that you need to be aware of the cultural sensitivity of those you involve in your research. And we had the discussion on question number 2, which we are not, we had like, because we don't know like what skill and training might you offer, but we ask like who are we offer this skill or training to? Is it for enumerator or interviewer? Maybe you need to train enumerator or interviewer
Yep.
to be also culturally sensitive. But one of our teammates also mentioned like it depends on the research methodology, because some of the research methodology actually involve the skill and providing skill and training to participants as well. And he was raising the example of like agricultural type of research, which you need to provide some sort of skill to a farmer group in order to collect data, you know, things like that. And I was thinking about like action research as well. So the action research also involve some sort of activities in a period of time, and that might involve providing cultural sensitivity type of training as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Great, great, thank you. I think Nicole would have a lot to say on those first 2 points. Like you don't want to exacerbate the rest of SGB, of course, and then providing space for women to bring children and the rest of it in particular communities. Thank you very much. Good. And did we have one last group? One last group, or is that all groups? Speak up now, last group, if you are there. Great. I think that's everyone. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for participating in that. So let me just say that we'll come back to this. I think when we start thinking through what we're going to be doing in Cambodia, sort of implementing some of the theory that we've put forward here, we'll talk more on this, and you'll each have your own considerations, and you'll come to us with this. How do we do this? Or Nicole will have some insight, and DB will have some insight into exactly how we, encounter some of these hurdles from both a theoretical perspective, but also from having done research on the ground in certain places and how best to encounter these. So great. Thank you, everyone. And with that, I'm going to hand over to DB. DB, is that okay? Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Kirill. Yeah, very interesting session. Thanks. And thank you, everyone. I mean, I can clearly see there is a lot to unpack, in the in-person meeting. So the second part of today's sessions is about writing. Again, academic writing is a big field. It's a big theme and includes a lot of things. I actually thought a lot about how I would approach this very last session, helping participants to build their writing skills. And I actually thought that, and this was also, in one of our internal emails from Kim-san, that I realized there is a lot of interest in areas of writing a research proposal. So being a research training, we have actually already discussed a lot about, in different sessions, different elements that should actually go into a research proposal, writing a research proposal. And we also have this idea and plan that in the actual in-person training, we want you to engage in a group discussion, work on your project, and have a research proposal draft, at least a draft, ready as an output by the end of day 3. So to actually sort of prepare for that sort of, in-person discussion, I decided to, also in the interest of time, I decided to present and talk about a research proposal, how to approach a research proposal. And of course, academic writing is part and parcel of writing a research proposal. And of course, we will do, once your research proposal draft is ready, then we will look at it and then, reflect on the academic, the conventions of academic writing, on your actual research proposal. So let me put my slides. First, I think that's my slide. I think so. Okay. So what is I'm going to talk about, as you know, writing a research proposal. Right. So the learning objective here is I'm hoping to address or achieve at least 3 things to help you all understand what is a good research proposal, what it constitutes of, what are the components of a good research proposal, and I think equally important, how to approach to write and present a good research proposal. So that's the 3 learning objectives for this session. So I want to begin with saying a few words on the purpose of a research proposal. I mean, I clearly understand that all of you have done research in different settings, right? Some of you have done research in or are doing research in academic field. Others do research in practice space. Others still might do somewhere in between practice and research. So there's a lot of, there's a variety of research that you are actually engaged in the field. So you already have ideas about, why do we research. So by that means, I'm assuming that you have also some understanding of the purpose of a research proposal. Nevertheless, I want to highlight 3 things. You could always think of a research proposal as your window or as your manifesto for other people to understand what your really ideas are in that research. So in that sense, your research proposal, through your research proposal, you would like to communicate your research ideas, especially objectives and the research plan, what you want to do. So in a nutshell, it's all about objectives and plans. But also a research proposal, through a research proposal, that's a medium of your communications with the people, the audience that you are interacting with. The audience and stakeholders in this case, in regard to you, in relation to your research proposal, may be different sort of people. It could be funding agency. It could also be, the members of an ethics committee. In an university setting, in an academic setting, it could be your supervisors or your team of your supervisors. And if you are actually applying for, intra-organizational research grants and things, then maybe research managers or the people who manage research-related activities in that organizations. So a research proposal is actually a piece, a tool for you to interact with these different sort of audiences and stakeholders. That's how you communicate with them. And also this is a, this is a document that helps you to demonstrate that your research has good ideas, not only good ideas and plans, but it's also feasible. You can do it within the certain time frame. The goals and objectives are achievable, and it has a scholarly value, that it has scholarly virtue, that your research is going to produce some sort of new knowledge or contribute to the existing knowledge. So generally, we can see this as a means of communications, means a document to pursue audiences and also demonstrate the different key elements of your research, such as feasibility, achievability, and the scholarly virtue or value of your research. When I was talking about stakeholders, that sort of points to the fact that we do research in different contexts because we engage in different. So, whenever writing a research proposal, thinking of a research audience I think is a very, very important. And this is also matters depending on what kind of research you are doing. Earlier, I was talking about academic supervisors, which means that in this case, you are actually writing academic proposals, for example, PhD applications or other kinds of academic fundings and grants. Here in Australia, we have a national funding agency called Australian Research Council, which actually funds both action-oriented type of research, but also pure scientific academic research. So in that case, one a significant type of research proposal you may be working on is academic proposal. But also, in an institutional setting, mostly within particular organizations, there are also different sort of, practice-oriented research that you will write proposal for. For example, if you are actually applying for within the health ministry, if you are applying for understanding the hand washing behavior of school kids, the goal of this research may not be maybe academic. Still, you produce some knowledge, but then your goal may be to make some recommendations for noble, policy activities or policy processes, policy recommendations. So in this case, we do write, you write a research proposal which is specific to that particular institutions that you are working with. Some external grants, I put it in a different category because external grants also means institutional action research type of research, but it can also be academic research. For example, some foundations, some charities also provide grants to the researchers for doing research on purely academics type of research topics. And there is also collaborative research. Collaborative research is actually, I put it as a separate category here. However, any kind of these three types of research category can be collaborative, which means you are involving more than one stakeholders. And why it matters from the types of research proposal, because you take a particular type of different approach to write proposal for this kind of collaborative project. And I'll come back to that in a minute in one of my slides. So this is the purpose. This is the, now we looked at what the purpose of a research proposal. We also looked at different types of research proposal in different contexts, different settings, but what is it all about, right? For the sake of discussions and interactions, I am trying to use this interactive platform called EcoPoll for you to participate in discussions. I don't know, you may be already familiar with it. So if you have a phone and if you have internet connections there, can you please just open the camera in your phone and focus on the QR code. So just just take a shot of this QR code. If you the camera is not working in that case, then you can also go to ecopoll.au and you can use this enter code POLS 7000 to enter to this poll. Okay. Let's take 1 minute to
DB, sorry, it says waiting for the presenter.
Yeah, it is. I haven't actually started it, so
okay.
you have to wait.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Let everyone get in first, and then we go from there. If I was actually doing it outside of not using Zoom presentations, then I could actually see how many people have joined, but somehow I can't see that number here. And I'm assuming you don't have any difficulty to access to this QR code, right? Okay. Did everyone have this QR code? Did it take you to a page where it says like the questions are not yet available? Okay. All right. If that's the case, then right. Sorry. Kirill, now can you see these questions? Does this come up in your device? So what I'm asking you here is, in this case, imagine you are there's someone who wants to give you Australian dollar 50,000 to investigate a problem that you really care about. Okay, maybe it could be health, education. Think of your own field. So there's someone who wants to give you a research grant. But then you have to actually convince the person that why your idea is worth funding. Okay, there's not much flexibility in terms of word count, but in 3 to 5 words, just tell, share with others, how do you really want to convince them? Okay, there's already one response here. Link it to the development agenda. Let's see what people think. Best on the government report. Interesting. Need assessment. Oh, sorry. Oh, what happened? Did it turn off? Oh.
No, it's okay. It come back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, it came back. Yeah. Okay. Can people still submit their response?
I
No.
Radha,
It
and
doesn't work.
having issue to get in again.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. This is technical. Can you scan the code again, please?
Yeah, I am on the waiting for presenter.
Okay. Hang on. So, are you in now? Can you see the question?
I see. No, not yet on my phone.
Still
can't-
waiting for presenter.
Waiting for presenter.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Yeah, me too. Waiting.
Okay. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. All right. Sorry, please, if you have responded it before, I think I refreshed it and then I lost your response. Please do it again. Thank you. Mental health. Problem statement.
So cool.
Relevant output, outcomes. Governance framework. Wow. Stop world hungry by controlling plant. Outline your anticipated findings. Well, okay. Okay, I think when people, I know some people are still submitting their response, so I will wait for another 30 seconds and let's reflect on what you have said on this screen here, okay? All right. This is really, really very interesting. It is interesting because I can see what you have actually responded here. Some of these responses are actually a very vital part of a research proposal. In other words, it's a really important component of a research proposal. But what I see here is that rather than using an actual language that would go into the research proposal, you have actually narrated this in your own words. You have imagined the way to convince your funder in your own actual, in your own word, in the actual context where you work on. This is good because I can see that you have certain ideas in mind to convince the funding agency to give you money. You know, for example, results for informed decision making. That one I doubt because, yeah, I mean, if whoever has said this, if you are saying that you would like to use the results from the study that you are proposing will be utilized for informed decision making in so and so field, then I think what you are talking here is impact. Impact for decision making, research findings informing decision making, and that's absolutely true. Enhancing governance framework in Cambodia, that may be a contribution of your research. So of course, that's also another very important important way to convince the funding agency, especially if you are doing a research in the governance field. The other response here is state that we understand the problem. Understanding problem, it's definitely a good idea to approach. You definitely want to understand the problem. I have to say two things about this. One is basically, in most of the times, action research, a kind of research that takes place in the development space, try to understand what's happened in the field, understanding the problem. But in academic setting, but also in development setting, you could also focus on a solution-oriented research. Otherwise, or you can actually combine both, because to propose or to recommend any solutions or to address some of the challenges on the field, you really need to understand. So what you are saying here is that in the proposal, you are actually trying to convince that you want to understand the problem in the first place, and which is again a fantastic response. I will take a couple of them because and then when I go to my next slides and talk about different elements of research proposal, then we can actually relate some of these things you have said to what I have on my slides. For example, transparency, accountability, and sustainability. So maybe here you want to convince the funding agency that the way you do research will be transparent, accountable, and sustainable. I don't know, maybe that somehow relates to, that sounds like an ethical, trying to convince from ethical considerations and ethical grounds of a research. But someone who, I mean, if whoever has responded this, if the person wants to come in and explain this, you are most welcome to do that. But no pressure, of course, okay? Need assessment. Of course, you can make an argument that you have developed this proposal based on need assessment, but not necessarily all the times you might be able to do need assessment. Sometimes you might just do kind of identify gaps, looking at literature and what existing studies have found about the issue that you are going to address. Okay, so that's all great. Let's see what I have here in the in my slides. So what you are trying to, what you have actually responded on earlier speaks to different components of a good research proposal. But before coming to that, I want to highlight some of the key characteristics of a good research proposal, and we can actually relate your response to some of these things here. For example, a research proposal, it has to be clear and concise in terms of objective, its goals, methodology, even the logics, propositions and logics you put forward in your research proposal. someone said that you want to highlight it is based on need assessment. This in my view actually relates to evidence-based, because your research proposal is research proposal is something like, it's building a wall, where you actually put one brick, and someone has put one brick, that's suppose one study found something, then you want to build on what is already there. You put another layer of brick, and then someone else would go back and do a research and add another layer to that. So imagine doing a research like building a brick wall, where you keep on putting layers of bricks one after another. So in that sense, the evidence base is a key characteristics of a research proposal, means that you go and see what other people have done. And need-based assessment, evidence-based, these are the need-based proposal you're talking about is basically fits to this evidence-based criteria. It has to be realistic and achievable, logically structured, and a lot of responses I could see earlier talked about some kind of contributions to innovative policy, improving practices, and so on and so forth. So what you were talking there basically in research language, what we call is that your research has certain socioeconomic benefits to the wider people, or there are certain impacts to the human society. Because any outcome of a research, any research, a good research outputs have some kind of implications or impact to the people, to the community. For example, if you're doing research on governance, particularly if you are doing research on health governance, then if anyone is going to formulate certain policy responses based on your research finding, then it's going to, it's going to impact people, mostly in the positive way, unless there is any unintended consequence, right? So nowadays, even the Australian Research Council, one of the, I think that's the biggest central federal government managed research funding agency here in Australia, which funds research by academics from different Australian universities. One of the key requirements of ARC in their proposal is that you should be able to demonstrate socioeconomic benefits to the people. So what is the benefit to the people? Oftentimes, in general terms, this is called research impact to the people, but you could also think this in terms of the benefits to the people. What benefits does it bring to the people? Does it bring benefit to a particular type of people? Like if it's a research on gender, benefits to women, girls, school children, if you are doing research on educations, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, there's another quick, how am I going in terms of time? I think I have another 20 minutes. So how is everyone going with this? Are you following me? Yeah? Or do you have any questions or any comments as of now? I'm just checking in. I think I pause for about 30 seconds and see if people have to add anything to this, or if you have any question. Okay. If it seems, okay, there are a few questions or comments. Okay, no questions. Good. All right, that's good. So what I want you to do now is just do another quick round of survey here, which is sort of an extension of what we did earlier, but then it helps us to further understand different components of a good research proposal. So can you please go and scan this QR code and wait for a few seconds before I open the questions? Okay. Let's give 30 seconds for everyone to enter in. right. Okay. So now here is a question. And this time I actually, earlier you were thinking of convincing some other people about your research proposal. But this time, take it the other way around. This time, actually, you are a reviewer. You are reviewing research proposal submitted to a particular agency, and you want to recommend at least top 5 research proposals. So having read through the research proposal, what is the thing that you will be really looking for to categorize, to rank those applications? So just give your response in 3 to 5 words. Yeah. Can everyone see these questions on their device? Okay, good. It's working. Finding, good. Topic, method, and finding. Interesting. We'll talk about that, yeah. A programmatic relevant outcome. This is finding. Research questions. Good point. Targets of research. Ethical clearance. Research questions. All right. Let's take another 30 seconds. Okay, let's reflect on what you have said here while other people may be still submitting their response. Yeah, the first point, the first on my screen here is clear objective, realistic time frame. This is absolutely excellent point, because a good research must have clear objective. There are different languages used sometimes. Some research has one central objective, and under that objective you can even have 1 or 2 different research questions. You can actually unpack that objective into 1 or 2 research questions or sub questions. So if that's the kind of format you are given, then it could be clear research objectives and smart research question. Think of smart research questions. Remember, in one of the sessions, Nicole talked about smart research questions, and we're going to do that practical exercise in-person training. But this is absolutely very important point. Good point. Research questions and methods, similar to the first one, but here you would look at method, and in particularly in relation to method, you probably want to look at the theoretical aspects of method, but also maybe feasibility of the method. Is the method suitable to, is appropriate to address these research questions? Risk factors and mitigations, that also perhaps goes into methodology, but some organizations may have different format which might want you to write about risk factors and mitigation strategies as a separate section. This is often happens in research that happens in development space and NGO sectors funded by donors. Research method, ethical clearance. Okay, one quick point about ethical clearance. When you submit a research proposal, you may not have already got the research clearance at this stage. Because you haven't gone through the rigorous process of research clearance, because you are not 100% sure whether or not your proposal will be funded. So the research clearance process can actually, in most cases, can also happen after the research proposal has been approved. You have the research grant, and then before you actually start the research, you can do that. Research method is coming time and again. That's a good point. Clear targets and research, targets of research. I don't know. Does anyone want to clarify that? What do you mean by clear targets of research? So that I can think of where in the research components of a research proposal where it would fit. Can someone clarify this? Whoever has responded. Clear targets. Is it about clear outputs, research outputs? What you want to publish? Do you want to publish journal article? You want to write a book? You want to write a research report, etc., etc.? Or I'm not pretty sure about what does that mean, but it still looks convincing, but needs to unpack that. The other interesting here is project R&D, so meaning project research and development. So clearly you are thinking of this research proposal in the context of a development research or action research. So research and development, this is a very broad and vague term for me. It can mean anything can mean different things to different people in different settings. Unless someone wants to clarify that, I don't have any further comment on that. But yes, of course, you might like to see maybe whoever has responded this, I'm just guessing, would like to make the point that you want to see to what extent your research actually contributes to R&D mission or research and development objectives of a particular organization, maybe. Intended research finding. This is another very interesting, because at this stage when you write a research proposal, maybe you have some propositions, you have certain theoretical assumptions or propositions, but I'm not sure whether or not you can actually write about findings. You might like to point to the areas where your findings might relate to. For example, you might, if you are doing a research on education reform, then you might want to say you want to improve your findings will be around students' outcomes, improving student outcomes, or teachers' retention, curriculum development, etc., etc. But at this stage, if I were doing this review, I wouldn't necessarily look at what kind of findings that it is likely to generate, because that's something that generally occurs after you do the research, right? You have done the research. Introduction and conclusion part, that's interesting. And I have a point to add to this introduction part particularly, but I'll come back to that later in a minute. Objective, method, expected outcomes. Yes, this is very important. Pretty much this response is pretty much in line with the different components that should be included in a research proposal. Topic, method, finding, programmatic relevant outcomes. So this is, again, whoever has done this perhaps was thinking in terms of development research or action research tied to a certain program, and you may be looking at to what extent the research actually contributes to achieve the outcomes or objective of the whole program. That I'm just guessing, but that possibly that could be the scenario. So again, thank you everyone. This is really interesting. What you have said are definitely, it makes sense. But let's look at what are the different components of a research proposal. Look, again, the point I want to emphasize here is that there is no universal model. Okay, different funding agencies, different research institutions, different organizations can have their own set of prescribed or recommended set of templates for research proposal. So you need to really check the criteria and make sure, if you are doing one, to make sure that you follow the given prescribed or recommended formats. Otherwise, this is basically what we find in both in terms of theories and practice. This is what I hear on this slide is basically the most common elements or components of a good research proposal. Of course, title, it must be very short and catchy, abstract, so that, you know, whoever reads your proposal will know what you are trying to achieve by just reading a couple of 100 words in under abstract. There are two things that I want to highlight, and for that matter, I have actually highlighted the text differently. You can see introduction and background and research aims and objectives. These are the two very, very important elements or components of a research proposals are oftentimes named differently. Okay, for example, some organizations just want you to start with research aims and objective and then write a background to the research. They may not actually use this terminology introduction, for example. Some other organizations want you to write research problem and problem statement, start from research problem and problem statement, and for them, that could be the introduction. So you have to really check the guidelines if you are doing it for certain specific funding organizations to see what is the requirement. But in a nutshell, in the first two paragraph or two sections or a couple of paragraphs or two sections, or maybe in just both of them together in one section, what you are doing is that you are introducing what you are going to do. You provide a background, you identify a research problem or gap, and clearly state the research aims and objective. So that can be formatted or presented slightly differently depending on the context. And then most universal one often is the literature review section. And Kirill actually run a very fantastic session on how to do literature review. So you can just think of the discussions we had earlier. And this is a very important, vital part of a research proposal, because this is the section where you will communicate to the assessors or whoever reads your proposal that you have actually identified the problem statement based on the literature review. So the gaps or need assessment, whatever language you were using in your response earlier, fits into this. Okay, methodology is a very, very central and key thing here. But also here in methodology, it could also include limitation, risks and risk mitigation, ethical statements, ethical considerations, etc., etc. And oftentimes, most research proposals include timeline, budget, and resources. So let's look at it a bit closely to some of these, these elements, and especially the introduction elements, or the key component elements first. This is an example, actually, I have taken from the website. This is the link to the website here from University of Sydney, where this is the guidelines provided to anyone who wants to submit a higher degree research proposal. So you can see what we discussed earlier. Most of these or some of these elements are reflected here. You know, for example, the university wants people to start with project title. You don't have to, I mean, they also want include a research supervisor, proposed mode of research. These are like more technical, intra-organizational things. But what is important here is that aims and objectives. So see here, it doesn't call introduction. But where you start basically from is aims and objectives. And synopsis is basically, it's sort of an abstract. And after that, it requires you to provide background, expected research contribution. This is your outcomes, impact, in other words, methodology, work plan, resources, and bibliography. Okay, let's look at another example here. This is actually, I've taken it from University of National University of Singapore. And this is the prescribed format for PhD proposals, higher degree research proposal. Similar, somewhat similar to what I showed earlier. You can see aims and objectives, synopsis, background, expected research contribution. So this is very, very important. You should be able to communicate the impact or the actual socioeconomic benefits of your research. Methodology, work plan, resource, and a bibliography. You can compare both formats, and there's a much similarity here. Now, this is an example from a research call for a funding agency in a development space. This is actually I've taken from a research funding call by Oxfam, one of the leading NGOs who also does a lot of research, especially Oxfam's research in inequality is very, very well respected and well regarded. So here you can see the format is slightly different. It requires you to write objectives, literature review, proposed methodology, expected outcomes, and research optic. So this looks a little bit different than showing impacts or contribution to the field of study like those two other examples from the university settings. Okay. How am I going in terms of time? Okay. I think I'm okay. I wanted to give you some practical examples of what I call it, this is my language, I call it the first 3-minute theory. In a research proposal, whether or not your proposal is going to fly is determined by, and this is what other people also say, by within normally like 3 to 5 minutes. Because once I start reading proposals, even that applies to any essay, academic essay, whether or not it has merits in it, the reader or assessor can actually feel that or have that impression within 3 minutes. Meaning that if you are not able to communicate very strongly, powerfully, your idea and convince the readers within the first 3 paragraphs, if you are not able to communicate that message why your research is important, then it's most unlikely it's going to be funded. And this is an example here. It's not so great example. I did not include it because this is a successful example. It's not also an example of failure. And this is actually my own extract from my postdoctoral research proposal, which I applied to Deakin University. It passed through the first round, and then it was knocked down in the final round. I mean, we don't have enough time here. I really wanted you to go through it and reflect on what's the problem here. But in the interest of time, let me explain to you. In this proposal, what I did is that I actually provided a very good empirical example of how development organizations can address violent extremism. I defined the terminology, and you can see here towards the end of 1, 2, 3, third, fourth paragraph, I have a research question. Sorry, I have a research question, and then I have a research aim. I actually followed their format. My prospective mentor's comment was that I was too late to introduce a powerful research question. I should have actually introduced that powerful research question right at the top, maybe at the end of the first paragraph, or maybe at the end of the second paragraph. And I could have actually formulated that questions in a much more powerful way. So the wording matters here. Okay, so this is neither a very successful example nor a very bad example. It's somewhere in between. But the point I want to make here is that you have to have, in the introduction section, you provide a context, a short problem statement. You don't have to provide detail, which you can actually, expand in background and literature review. Provide a rationale and introduce the smart research questions as early as you can in your research proposal, so that the readers know that what you are going to do and why is it important. Okay. So what you could do in the planning stage, because writing is a staged process. You don't think of a research in the morning during breakfast and write a proposal in the afternoon. It takes time. And then oftentimes I personally spend a lot of time in preparing and planning and looking around for informations, resources, etc., etc. So the 3 tips, in approaching a research proposal, writing a research proposal, is that in the planning stage, you have to define your audience. Who is going to be your audience? Is it academic audience or is it practitioners? Depending on who your audience is, matters the kind of language and tone you are going to adopt in your research proposal. You need to follow specific guidelines and templates if there is any, and allow enough time for review and revision. And this is a very simple tips actually. But what you should actually avoid is vague or unfocused research question. Remember smart research question techniques that Nicole explained to you all. Weak or unsupported justifications or rationale. You should actually avoid poorly defined or unclear methodology. Your project should be feasible, meaning that you are not proposing a too big project. Okay, you don't want to do a research on solving the health problem in Southeast Asia, 5 countries in 2 years. You can't do that study in 2 years. It has to have at least 3 to 5 years. So it's not. Remember that you are not proposing something too big to handle. And it should not lack. It should have a statement, a clear problem statement, but also impact statement or contribution, a noble contribution to the field. Should not ignore ethical considerations. And importantly, a lot of times, assessors are actually become agitated if they see you using very poor, unformatted, sloppy language, not proofread well. Okay. And especially in the development sector where most of you are working, the budget plan, the plan and budget should be realistic. They should match and must be justifiable. So by way of summarizing this, what I would say is that always I would recommend my students and whoever I give any advice or my 2 cents about writing proposal, especially prospective PhD and research student, always think 4 questions. What is it about? What is it about? Okay, and why it matters? Why you want any university or any agency to spend thousands of dollars on your research project? Why? Think of that, and that is what is called the significance or rationale of your study. And why this way and not the other way? This is basically about method and approach. So why you are proposing this method not the other method? Why quantitative method and why not qualitative method? Or vice versa, or why not both? And finally, as I said earlier, the final point is becoming increasingly relevant in both academic and non-academic settings, which is what it brings to the people, to the society, to the funding agency, or to the field. What is the impact, contributions, or the benefit it brings to the people through your research? Why it matters to people, to everyone. Okay, so with these 4 final questions, I stop here, and I'm happy to take, if people have any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions. And I might actually leave a couple of minutes earlier before 3, which is 3, I mean my time, 3 p.m. And I will leave Kirill and Kim-san to wrap it up. But let's spend another 1 or 2 minutes if people have any other questions. But again, look, it was pretty, it was, some of you may have felt it a bit intense, but the purpose was that I wanted to give you how a good research proposal looks like and how to approach, because different elements and different components of what a good research proposal, what I talked today, we want to unpack that and we want to reflect that on your applying it to your own project in the in-person training in Phnom Penh. Okay, thank you. I stop sharing.
Thanks, DB. Kim-san, given that I know DB has to leave for another meeting now, should we just I can answer any questions if there are any. DB, do you want to say au revoir and then we'll take it from here?
That's great. That would be great. Thank you, Kirill, and thank you everyone. Thank you, Kim-san. It was a great pleasure interacting with you in online sessions, and I look forward to meeting you in person in just a few weeks' time from now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. All right. Over
Thanks,
to you.
DB.
Thank you.
Okay,
DB.
see you.
much, DB. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, Kim-san, so maybe we can,
Yeah.
sorry, open it. Is there any questions in relation to that? And if not, shall I just hand it over to you to give an overview of what's expected, just the pragmatics of the next step? Yeah.
Okay. So if there is no anyone have question for Kira, I can briefly talk about the next step. So we conclude our online session now. Yeah, and your suggestions on the project research project proposal template and also the ethical application form will be included in the in-person training, and our trainer will prepare this template for you guys before the in-person training, so that you can have a look and you can fill in, any part in the template that especially the research proposal template. You can try to fill in before the in-person training, because the in-person training will focus more the practical applications of the research proposal, and our trainer will guide you in person. So before the in-person training, if you have any question with regard to how are you going to develop your individual research project based on the template, I think you should prepare those questions or topic or in detail if possible, so that you can take the best support, make the best use of time and support from our trainer. These are for me very important, for the in-person training. And also, so we will include your suggestion into included in the agenda. And for the 3-day training agenda, I will draft the agenda, and then once I finalize it with our trainer, I will release it to you all. But please block your schedule on the 22nd, from 22nd to 24th, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have 3 full day research training, so please block your schedule. I will send a reminder email early next week for everyone to block the schedule. And if I have any more update information, I will just pass to you all one by one, because instead of waiting for everything to be confirmed, it may be passing in updated information one by one, so that you can have enough time to prepare. And also please try to fill in the survey maybe on Monday, Kira, or this afternoon. Are you ready for the survey?
Moani, can we send it out this afternoon, do you think, or is it best on Monday?
Yes, yeah. We got feedback already, and I can just publish it. Yeah.
And
Okay,
send it to Kim-san first.
I'll share it with you, Kim-san. Yeah, in an hour or so.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Moani.
The survey, right?
Today. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Today.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So those who haven't fill in the survey, please do. It's important for our trainer and also for the program for the reporting purpose, and also for our trainer preparation, to make sure that we provide need-based support to you all. I think that's it for me, and I cannot wait to meet everyone our trainer and the participant in persons. And 8 online training sounds like a lot, but it really go by very fast. I still cannot believe it that today is our last sessions. Okay, that's it from me. Kirill, do you have any things to add on that?
No, just looking forward to meeting everyone. There was a question there in the box about, but I'll answer that. We'll answer that in person. Is that okay, Somani? We'll get to that about how long a research proposal can be. It varies depending on the context. So we can answer that in more detail then. And Moani will send out the form, and then we will meet in person, not next week, but the week after. And Kim Sano, is there a dinner involved as well? Do we have a group dinner?
I think so. Yeah, I asked Bong Lina, and she said that yes, but I need to confirm again. Huh?
Right. Okay. It'd be nice to meet both in a formal setting and a bit more of an informal setting to get to know everyone as well. Yeah, good.
Yeah, that is needed.
It's needed. Yeah, I think it's really important. So it'd be nice if we could do that more of an informal as well outside of the classroom. That'd be nice. Good. Apart from that, great. I'll see you all there in And Kim San, any closing words? Pragmatics, Moani, anything to add?
No, for me, I said a lot already. They may get bored by me or annoyed by me. So Moni, thank you, Moni, for your support. Moni has played a very important role as well, in coordinating with our trainer with regard to the session preparation. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Moani. Thank you very much.
Everyone. Yeah, it has been a very good discussion. Every session, that's a lot of interesting question, and I'm also very pleased to hear your various work experience and challenges in the field. So it is also eye-opening experience for me. So we learn from each other. It's really inspiring. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
And we're going to end on time. First time, we're always over time. Kim San, the last one we're on time.
Yeah. Okay. So if there is anything else, so yeah, have a good weekend, everyone, and see you in person in the next 2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Good. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Moani, we've stopped the recording. Great. Thank you. See you.
See you. Oh, Kirill,
Yeah.
Did you store it on the cloud, the recording?
Oh, yeah, on cloud. Yeah. I'll have to send you the
that's
link.
okay. I can download it. That's fine. It's going to be automatically in my download.
Okay. Yeah, good. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay. See you.